Welcome everyone to a new episode of Business Heartprints. Today's topic is about e-commerce. My name is Anja Gibert. I'm a HR disruptor and a huge advocate of heart energy in business world. And Jeremy Barr is a VC investor, tech expert, founder, mentor, and he's on a mission to make a positive impact on 3 billion people worldwide. And we have a co-host, guest host, from all the way from Sweden, Stockholm, Stefan. He's a DJ who is also infusing heart values into his e-commerce businesses. So hi, Stefan.
Hi, Anja. Thanks for having me.
Yay. And yeah, Stefan, would you be so kind and just present yourself, present your story, and of course, how are you infusing these heart values into your business? That's
sure.
The most important question.
So, hey everyone, my name is Stefan. I'm from Sweden. I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur, growth hacker, growth marketer, but also DJ, musician, and yeah, I'm on a mission to pretty much make the world a little bit better place when I leave it than when I came in, pretty much. So. Yeah, really what got me started as an entrepreneur was the DJing, right? And started out as a DJ and just kind of worked my way up, had a few residencies on some cruise ships, on some nightclubs. And I've been playing a little bit all around Europe and different kind of settings, clubs, weddings, just meeting all kinds of people from all kinds of different cultures. And then on the side of the DJing, I started with the e-commerce, and I started some eBay stores, some multi-stores. It was basically my first venture into e-commerce, and yeah, it just was where I was learning. I was in the trenches, learning all the things about marketing, all the things about keywords, SEO, and just customer service and fulfillment, and order fulfillment and things of that nature. And I just really saw that the two things needed each other, right? The creative and the business side, but they often kind of come dislocated in some ways. So I've kind of taken it as my mission to try to kind of combine it together more, because like in music and in the arts in general, it's very much about how you feel and to express oneself and to it's a lot of feelings, but it's not so kind of logical. It's not so task oriented. Now we have this many calls we have to do today. We have this kind of target that we're gonna hit this month, and we have this marketing budget. It's like none of that. So, but still, that's on the other side of things, in the business side of things, e-commerce side of things. There's a lot of that, but very little, or has been very little, I think, play with the creative. But nowadays, I've been in the e-com business for about 6 years, so it's starting to shift a lot. So brands are really, really obsessed with the creative side of things and really want to understand, okay, how can we communicate with the creatives? How can we talk like people talk, not talk like robots? Like these faceless entities that no one really wants to interact with. And yeah, that's basically what I help other companies with also. Like I'm creating these companies that have a face basically, and like that interact with humans and create content also that is for humans, that is not for some blind mass. And I also help other companies do that. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at right now.
Cool, thank you. Would you say that there are a lot of companies that you are working with that they would like to make a positive impact in the world?
I mean, I think fundamentally they want, but I think that it's just, they're so focused on these other things of profit, and they have to meet their goals and everything. And also, I think that like everything else, they're kind of sucked into this way of doing things that has always been done in a certain way. Traditional retail values from traditional retail has kind of carried over into e-commerce, right? How you kind of do customer service, how you do how you treat your employees and things of that nature. But I think in general, I always believe that people want to do good. So I believe also companies want to do good. But yeah, sometimes greed can get the best of it. And I've seen it also in many cases with some companies that I've worked with, and individuals, different scales.
And do you see a solution for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think because nowadays it's just so hard for things to kind of go unnoticed. So if it's an employee that doesn't feel noticed, it's so easy for them to kind of call out the company and be heard, right? And so they're going to bring the company in the spotlight, and company PR doesn't want that, right? So and they have to listen, because it's just some kind of thing in the culture now where we're like, wow, that's really shitty. How could they do something like that? And so we're not gonna, we've seen a lot of these boycotts of different brands over the last few years, right? During the pandemic, especially. So I definitely think that people can do something about it. And also, customers have the same power now. There's a lot of customers also that have been calling out certain brands that I think in the past would have maybe gotten lost in some kind of customer service inbox, but now they take to social media and they just really speak their mind and speak their matter, really, in front of everybody. It's not some kind of thing that you file with some agent somewhere in some office that you want to file a complaint, right? That gets just stacked with all the other complaints. So yeah, definitely. And I mean, big businesses and brands, they're aware of this. So, and they don't want to, and to some extent, they can be a little bit crippled by that, because sometimes it kind of cripples innovation. It cripples kind of creativity. They don't dare to say certain things. They don't dare to respond in a certain way because they're afraid this politically correctness kind of, especially in Scandinavia, it's a big thing. You shouldn't step on anyone's toes. You should be very careful with everyone. No one can get upset. But I'm starting to see a trend now, like a little bit away from that, because I think a large group of the population is a bit like, just say how it is, kind of be straight with us, a little bit that Dutch mentality, kind of say it out loud and don't be so, shy about it. Yeah, like on eggshells, kind of. Yeah. But it's a balance, it's a tricky balance. And I mean, the larger the company, the harder it's going to be for it to express itself freely, because it's a bunch of bureaucracy and different, brand voicings that needs to be, all the different departments have to have their say before a piece of content can go on Facebook ads, versus a smaller company that has like 10 employees, maybe it's just like you can go from idea to implementation in like an afternoon, and then it's all good, right? And if something is not good, then it's like, oops, like it's all right, we just try again tomorrow. But with a big company, then you have to have meetings, and why did it go this way, and how can we avoid this, and how can, it's a different kind of process.
Cool. And for example, I'm really curious, like, what would you say, what is the most important thing that makes, I would say, like, e-commerce business successful? And then Jeremy can also add from VC perspective. How
Sure.
interesting, how interesting it is to invest in e-com businesses.
Yeah. So I think what makes an e-commerce business successful is, first of all, the product and the offer, right? So how well has, the founders, how well have they listened to the market? How well have they done the research? Are they really solving a problem, or are they just pretending to solve a problem? A lot of times they might have done half the work. So they found a problem and they're identifying, and they're presenting some kind of solution to that problem, but maybe it's not such a sufficient solution, right? There's plenty of those companies, and I've worked with some of those companies also, where you can see it actually in the data. You can't maybe see it at face value that their products are not as great as they say that they are, but you can see it in the data. So I worked with a customer some time ago that were basically, they were saying they were selling some kind of beauty product, and they were claiming that some kind of, that customers, by using their products, they're going to get some kind of result, and people bought into that. And so they had a lot of customers. But when you start to dig into the data and you start to kind of, filter it from like, how many people have bought once, how many people have bought once and twice, and once and twice and three times. This list of tens of thousands of people, once you came up to people that have bought 4 or 5 times, came down to the hundreds. So it's a very clear sign that, all right. And then also you combine that with the customer reviews, right? That people that aren't happy, they leave bad reviews, like 1-star, 3-star reviews. And so you combine those two things together, and you see that, okay, so they've only done half of the work. So yeah, they're really successful, but now the success really depends on how much new customers they can bring in, and so how many new markets they can penetrate, not how much, like how great their product can be. So yeah, you can be successful like that, I think, for a certain amount of time. But I think the best companies, they've really paid attention to the customer, to their needs, to their problems, and they're presenting a really great solution. Because the best form of marketing also is just word of mouth. You can only do so much with paid, and it's just something that goes up with time, right? If you don't do that right, if you don't treat your customers right, and you don't really have great products, like, it's expensive to acquire customers all the time. So the cheapest form of or just how you maintain a profitable company is just that you have great products, and then you don't even have to market after X amount of years. The product markets itself. So yeah.
Jeremy, would you like to add anything to this?
Yeah, looking at an e-commerce company from an investing lens or a business operator lens, I've been at the 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 40 million, 65 million, $1.4 billion companies, D2C, B2B, public and private. With that context, I've managed, either done all of it, I've done all of it, all of the departments myself, or managed it. And with that context, at the end of the day, how successful a company can be will be how your customers feel on an emotional level, how you, your company, your products and your services make the customer feel on an emotional level. So this means, how do we build up from that core? We look at something like a difficult problem. If it's a difficult problem for them and you solve it, your product, service, or you solve it, then that's a big emotion for them to feel, right? So we're starting from that emotion, and then we're saying, okay, now you need a difficult problem. The more difficult problem, the bigger the emotion. A difficult problem is also defensible, right? So if you're just going to go and make lemonade, right? Powder and water at a high level. Obviously, actual powder would take more ingredients, but powder and water at a high level. Very easy, quick MVP to build out. And that's what a lot of people will associate with e-commerce D2C, is really quick and easy idea pumping. And it's not very defensible, but it's low price point and easy to get started with. So then you end up getting e-commerce companies that are more product lineups, and then ultimately they use their profit runway from the lower price point products to build higher price point products, but which are ultimately come from higher feature products, which just take more development time, which takes from the profit, right? It's all just like a polynomial equation of order and timing of how you release products. So we need somebody who can navigate how to generate the right products in the right order, and how to listen to that customer, and how to briefly, concisely give that product to the consumer in your organic or paid ads. I ran $100,000 a day media buying budgets, where when you change one word from lose weight to lose belly fat, it made our 11 a.m. hour turn from $10,000 to an additional $15,000 an hour, which was $25,000 made in that hour, right? Just by changing one word. We really have to listen to customers and understand what they want, and we can't just use a thesaurus word, because in that case, that thesaurus word was fine and it was the same in a thesaurus definition, but it's very, very different in the way that it comes to the customer. So you have to listen to that customer, because that emotion from that customer is very, very different for every person. Our neurons in our brain are coded very differently. So listening to the customer at scale is really, really important. Not listening to every customer. There are some customers that will be completely mad and upset with your product, and you have to say, that's okay. I'm okay with you not liking it. Right? I want to list, even if you are a customer for me, and we don't serve every customer. We serve the customer at scale, if you want to scale a company. So we need a great product. We need great products. We need defensible products. Then we also at scale are going to need operations. We need people that can operate at scale, companies that can operate at scale. You can roll out one product and sell it well, but can you start to manage a team? Can you manage teams of people in your company? Can you manage the supply and demand of all those different products? Can you manage all the copywriting and all the landing page funnels for all those different products? Right? Running 5 products versus running 500 products is completely different. And then building on defensibility for each product. If you want a product to be very defensible and be building a product that is making you $5 million, like some of the ones that I've operated, right? That's completely different from a product that makes you only $100,000 or $200,000 a year, right? So higher defensibility and higher scale products are going to make you a lot more money. And if you want to do 500 defensible products, that's going to be a very, very hard thing to do. So again, it comes back to like the order and timing. And when you're launching each of these products, just understand at a unit level. Once you do one product at a unit level really, really well, then you can do a lot of different products, right? So if you look at a product at a unit level, it comes out with it's a difficult problem. It's solving something for the customer. It's a difficulty. Difficulty of the problem lowers your CAC and increases your LTV. Because the more difficult it is for somebody in the world to solve, and you've solved it for them, the more quicker they're going to convert, right? That's what lowers your customer acquisition cost, is problem difficulty at a fundamental human level. But you can't get caught up as a first-time founder choosing a very, very difficult problem, because that means a very, very difficult problem, like building out a Tesla car with 1,500 car parts, means that's a long MVP to build out. Maybe that takes 6 months or a year or 2 years to build something out that's a lot of features for your MVP, which means now you need financing from an investor like me. But if you're a first-time founder, why am I going to believe that you know how to run a company, right? So usually harder problems are something for second-time founders. But at the same time, harder problems are better for customer acquisition. So then people will want to do that as a first-time founder. So then what do you do as a first-time founder? You can bring on high experienced people that have already done big scale projects, and you as a founder want to be a gravity ball, pulling in great experienced people to your team that maybe can essentially de-risk you doing a hard problem, and you can bring them on in a fractional nature. You can get good at your communication and becoming a gravity ball to pull in investors, partners, employees, and customers, right? So then you can pull somebody in who's like maybe making $200,000 or $500,000 a year, and they're really, really good at their 9 to 5, and they have their own revenue runway, and you don't have to pay for their revenue runway, and you can bring them into your company, into your e-commerce company, which really should be an omni-channel company anyway. So we shouldn't delineate them as just e-commerce. That's like kind of in an old way. Really, a really defensible company is going to be omni-channel. But as far as the fractional person, kind of pulling in some fractional people to work on this difficult problem, in a fractional way, or even in a tentative way, saying, hey, I have these 5 people that are going to tentatively sign on. And then you go to an investor or 5 investors and say, hey, do you guys want to fund this company? I have this amazing team, right? Now you're able to go after a difficult problem because you have an amazing, talented set of people that are beyond just your talents as a single person. Now you have de-risked a difficult problem, and you have a difficult problem that is going to be solved for the world. And now you're pulling in money from investors to raise, right? So you essentially pull in the team and the raise at the same time. You have all of them tentatively agree and then sign the contract at the same time, in a sense. This is kind of what can go enough to create a successful company in general. And then going to that point of e-commerce and omnichannel, right? Like in this day and world, like you should really be omnichannel. You should be e-commerce. You should be in a lot of different platforms. You should be across Amazon and Shopify, and your own website, whether that's a Shopify or non-Shopify, whatever. Because you can be in all of them, and you can differentiate if you want, or they can be one and the same. And you also want to be in retail. I've run the companies that are in retail and e-commerce and all of it all at once, and also done B2B at the same time, right? So having focus in your company, a lot of founders and a lot of managers and a lot of people in companies are just not focused. They try to do too many products at one time, or they try to do too big a product too early. Choosing a small product to start with, then doing the next product is important. Your order is important. If somebody like me is going to come in and invest, founders that can attract team members is going to be really, really important, right? If you want to build a massive company, you need a massive team. To build a massive team, you need to be able to relate to and communicate to a lot of different human beings, which means you need to become a good gravity ball as a founder or as a leader. And to become a good gravity ball as a founder or as a leader, or as a human, means talking to a wide variety of people from different cultures, countries, education levels, income levels, personalities, genders, politics. You have to be able to talk to all of those different varieties. That's what affects your fundamental ability to attract and retain talent to your team. And that talent is what's going to be scaling your product mutations and your product lineup that you will not be doing. I, as an investor, will never make a rigorous investment decision based on a single product. And most founders come in and they just pick, here's my cool company, here's my cool product, here's my cool service. And I have to ignore all of it, all of what they say. And I have to look at them. How is their ability to communicate well and relate to a wide variety of people so they can become a gravity ball to build out a team to then build any company they want from that? So high level e-commerce, I mean, you need those defensible products, because most e-commerce companies are just churning out products, and they're not very defensible because they are low price point, right? And they're low price point because guess what? Yeah, low price point does need to exist in the world. We don't need everything to be hard problems. We don't need everything to be difficult problems, which means you have a class of company that needs to have a lot of low defensibility products, and you need to constantly be moving to generate new products and sell those products to different spaces where those products don't exist in a particular city or state or country. You need to be fast moving. You need to be agile. You need to have technology. You need to be taking on ChatGPT. You need to be taking on auto GPT things. You need to be quick, and you need to have a large portfolio of these low defensibility products if you want to compete in that space. And that is heavily associated with e-commerce. If you want to get into a rigorous definition of e-commerce, you can sell complicated healthcare products and tech products online all day long, but like in the traditional e-commerce product, it's typically like what you think about your $50 to $80, $50 to $100 products on Amazon and Shopify stores, right? That's what traditionally is in a non-rigorous definition, but colloquially understood as e-commerce. So in that sense, you have to have like a large lineup, and you have to be fast moving, and you have to do your research, and you have to do your customer service, and you have to put your customer service wording into your landing pages, into your copy, and into your testimonials. It's very algorithmic, and a lot of people are A/B testing through things that aren't actually that hard. It's a very systematic process. So that's a high-level view on e-commerce investment for me.
Cool. Yeah, fun fact. I used to sell guitar straps on Amazon. So I was involved in in digital sales for a while, and I was also working in a digital marketing agency. So I kind of know what you guys are talking about, even though, you know, my department is more HR. And what I'm trying to say also here, you know, to show this connection between marketing and I would say job hunting or recruiting, or, you know, like this process. Because when somebody wants to buy something, they go online, they go, you know, look for information, and they gather all information, and based on those information, they make a decision. And it's the same when people are looking for career opportunities. They go online and they check, you know, they are gathering information, and also they're getting information from outside, from, you know, people who they know. And sometimes companies, they're not aware of that, you know, that their online presence is also very, very, very important, especially like if they are in if they are selling stuff, you know. And then how do they deal with the reviews? How do they deal with customers? Like with this building, I would say, like building digital relationships. Can we say that? So yeah. It's very important as well, because I can also mention, one example. I don't know if you're familiar. It's Virgin Media from UK, the company, like huge companies, like cable company. And they actually lost a lot of money because their recruitment process was not optimal. Like people were not really feeling good during recruitment process. And when they started to, exploring what is happening, and they found out that because of the experience that they had during the recruitment process, they canceled their subscription. So the company lost a lot of money because of that. At some point, it didn't seem really important, but when they were gathering information and going deep, it was like millions and millions of euros, or pounds on yearly basis. So this is very, very important for companies, to be aware how the communication online, offline, and this customer service, customer relationship, it's very impactful, and it has like bigger impact that they maybe think that they had. So this is also something, that I really want to emphasize in this topic. So Stefan, or Jeremy.
Just to emphasize what you're saying, at scale, the human capital portion, like all the weekly kind of one-on-ones that you'll do, and I know you'll go into companies and help them out with their talent and managing that well, and that's the more important part in all of companies than anything. Like my investment thesis is around people and not just scaled companies. Scaled companies, that's where it becomes the focus, but really you got to start focusing on it from day one. It's more important to manage people well, otherwise you do end up losing millions, tens of millions of dollars in turnover from your employees, or employees not being hired with the right skill set, or having turnover from the employees. That is really, really important. It's one of the things that if I even if I see a great product in a great market, I can't invest, or I just don't think the company is going to succeed if I don't see them managing the human capital really well, and really aligning their employees and making sure the communication is done well in the company, etc. So agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah, because you mentioned emotions, which are really, really important. And it's really important to be aware that, when people get in touch, they get in contact in any way possible, they get in contact with the company, and the level of emotions, or like, you know, the way how they feel, it really has an impact on their future decisions, whether they will, you know, become their customer, whether they will, I don't know, at some point they will work with them, or business partners or whatever, you know, like this initial contact that they have with the company and how they feel about it, it has a huge impact. And company can definitely, you know, they can align that, they can help align these energies, they can help, you know, increase the level of positive emotions. But sometimes it's a little bit underestimated, in my opinion, how I see it. Okay, cool. So only last question. So about growth hacking, how do you see growth hacking, like when it appeared, you know, and until now, like I would say like the development, or like the trend, maybe in your opinion, like as an expert, if you can.
Yeah. I think it's only getting like more complex, to be honest, and it's getting in a way like more competitive, because there's like back in the day, I think it was it like not Google Drive, but this other one, what's it called, Dropbox, this company that they made this kind of growth hack where, you know, it was like you would get some kind of it was like a referral kind of growth situation where you would like refer a friend, you would get like extra gigabytes and stuff like that, and they grew very fast. So same thing we saw with for example TikTok. We're seeing now also with TikTok, right? You can jump on organic, or you can still jump on organic TikTok, right, and get your account going viral, but it's getting a lot harder. So it's a lot about finding these opportunities where there's not so much saturation, there's not so much competition. Someone has not already done this, like maybe someone has done it, but someone hasn't done it like really great, like 10 times. Then it's very hard to succeed in that space. So that's one thing, like it has definitely gotten more like saturated. There's more people doing it, more people are online. And so you have to be really creative, I think, nowadays as a growth hacker, to find these opportunities. And they can be really subtle, you know, they don't have to be necessarily that you jump on a different platform. It could be that you do a different kind of content on your Facebook ads, or that you try Facebook Reels instead of Facebook feed, right? Because this is just a different kind of place on the Facebook app that people consume, that there's like just like more attention from people than from the Facebook feed or from the Facebook shops or something like that. So that's definitely like really getting into the nitty-gritty of whatever it is that you do, whether if you're buying Facebook ads, I mean, you're a media buyer on Facebook ads or on Snapchat, that you really like understand the platform and what kind of opportunities are there for you, because they're constantly adding new features. So whoever, like when Instagram Reels came out, for example, it was like huge. It was very cheap also to advertise on Instagram Reels, because Instagram was trying to compete with TikTok. So it was like a huge opportunity there for a while, but it was really like super cheap to advertise only on Instagram Reels compared to like Instagram stories or Instagram feed, or Facebook feed also for that matter. So that's just an example. But like, yeah, I think it's in some ways getting more difficult, because it can be that there's less opportunity, but only if you're like restricting your creative mind. If you open up your creative mind, there's endless possibilities. So yeah, I think the growth hacker today needs to be a lot more creative than the growth hacker of 5 or 6 years ago, definitely.
Okay, cool, thanks. Ricky, I just want to ask you something. Do you, like in your business, do you use also digital marketing? Except, for example, LinkedIn, like with content and stuff, but how do you scale your company?
Yeah, at the minute it is literally just LinkedIn. There is, I mean, I had the classic socials, right? Instagram, Twitter, but it's how many plates can I spin and manage? And it was then I was so new into entrepreneurship as a founder, let alone being a social media marketer or a manager, basically, that I just stopped it. So the Twitter account for Point Science Analytics was dead. Instagram made a few posts, and then that was it. It needs to be that consistency. And there was this case of, oh, just repurpose content. But yes, that still takes time. And what do I prioritize? So I ended up shifting to a Substack newsletter, acquiring like lists of subscribers that you can get. Now I've got thousands of people, and I send out a blast every 2 weeks of a breakdown of biotechs. And then in there have various calls to action where needed. So if they find it useful, great, they'll see it, they will engage or message me and go down that funnel. If they don't, they can just unsubscribe because they were on a list where it's fine to, like, GDPR approved list, right, to send them these relevant emails. In the future, I mean, I factored in the pre-seed raise to have someone doing this level of like marketing and like the digital push for the business, because it's going to be necessary. There's only, my voice and my profile only targets so many people, and there needs to be that engagement, that networking, that growth on a larger scale across different platforms in order to maximize the sort of reach of people and the understanding. So multiple funnels going down into one, rather than currently what it is my LinkedIn and this newsletter, which for now is manageable by me. But when I double, triple, quadruple the size of personnel in the company, each person can take a chunk of responsibility to doing this, because I think it's super important for generation of leads and also increasing the awareness as well.
Yeah, especially increasing the awareness, I think. Because I don't know if you're familiar with this model, AIDA. So it's like awareness, interest, desire, and action. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a marketing model. And it's usually, yeah, it starts with awareness. So basically, you know, you put the word out, like that you empower people with the right information. So you trigger their interest. And then after interest, it has to be a desire. If they don't desire, you know, for, I don't know, to talk to you or to find out more or whatever, you know, it's not going to be any action. So that's why we need to be always aware. Where are they, on which level? So
yeah,
with the newsletter, yeah, you are definitely, you know, you're raising awareness about it, but I think also interest, yeah, because there's also, you know, they can contact you on LinkedIn. Like there are a lot of people contacting you with private messages.
You know what's actually been a big differentiating game changer, I was just thinking as you were speaking, is putting out personal content that I do. So not everybody's going to be like me, I know this, but I'm comfortable speaking about mental health, well-being, challenges, struggles, traumas. And in doing so, the amount of people, investors, I don't know, various people in life science who have contacted me saying, oh, I read your post about this and this happened to me back in my time, or I'm dealing with X and Y. I'd like to have a chat with you or jump on a call, or I was mentioned in someone else's post as someone to follow. And then somebody in the life science field made another post, and they said that it's good. It's like the second element of like business development and marketing, which is being personable and showing your vulnerability as a human being, rather than the classic Instagram, hey, here's my Rolex and shiny Lamborghini. In 3 months of being an entrepreneur, I made 1 million. It's like, yeah, no chance. That's very rare and scarce. And if so, how sustainable is that? Whereas the reality is, hey, I woke up today and I didn't fancy doing anything because I felt like there was too much to do. So I did nothing. And now I feel worse. And people are like, hey, yeah, I felt like that, me. And then you end up having a conversation. Then you build with that rapport on a conversation. So this has been a big game changer for me, is the daringness and willingness to try and be vulnerable. And so far, like, touch wood, no one's been rude about it or horrific, because people know they feel like that inside. And when they see it on the screen and they're reading it and someone has written it, they realize the bravery that must have taken to put out there into the world for the world to judge and make their mark on. And so they're like, you know what, thanks for that. So they read it, and so the impressions go up. So I was almost thinking, oh, it only got 200 impressions, or it got 20,000. Like, imagine all of that. That meant 200 or 20,000 in one room is a lot. If
Amazing.
You think of people. So it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say thank you very much for joining today. It was great chat, again, insightful, and I'll see you in next episode of Business Heartprints. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye-bye.